In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the rules of indices, and the first example we're going to look at is example 1. Fully simplify the following expression. So we have the square root of 4 on x to the power of 6 all divided by x squared. So let's take a look at the first example on the writing pad, and we have the square root. I'll just note the problem here, and it's the square root of 4 times x to the power 6 all divided by x squared. So I think the first thing I'll do is just eliminate the square root, so always write that in index form. So we're going to have 4x to the power of 6 all raised to the power of a half. So that is eliminating the square root sign. Now, if I multiply this half on the 6, I also need to raise it the 4 to the power of a half. So we've got 4 to the power of a half, which is 2 times x. 6 over 2 is 3, all divided by x squared. So I'm going to simplify it down again. So this time we have 2 times x to the power of 3 over x squared. And the final rule we'll apply is going to be 2x to the power of 3 minus 2 equals 2x. And that's our problem fully simplified. So we started off with the square root of 4 times x to the power of 6 divided by x squared, and we've used some of our rules to simplify it to equal 2x. So let's look at another problem, and the second example is to solve for x. So this time we've got 6 times square root of x over the square root of 4x to the power of 4 equals 3 over x. So again, we will apply rules until we have x to the power of 1 isolated on the left. So let's take a look at this problem. And I'll just get the problem noted first. The problem is 6 times square root of x over square root of 4x to the 4 equals 3 over x. So I'm going to again deal with the root signs first. So this time I have 6 on x to the power of a half over 4x power 4 raised to the power of a half, and then that's the left simplified, and I'll just leave the right as is for now. Now, in fact, we are actually looking to solve for x, so I think I'll bring all the x terms to the left. So I'm going to deal with this, we have this x here. I'll deal with this x now by multiplying across by x. So if I multiply both sides by x, I'm going to have 6 times x to the power of a half, and that will be divided by, it's 4 to the power of a half is 2 times x, and that if I multiply the power 4 by a half, I end up with the power 2, and in the denominator equals 3 on the right hand side. So let's simplify further, and we are now going to, we can divide this 6 by this 2, and the top it'll give us 3. We have x to the power of 1 times x to the power of a half, which is x to the power of 1 plus a half is 3 over 2, and on the denominator we're left with x squared equals 3. Well, I can divide out by the x. I'm aiming to have x to the power of 1 on the actual left. So let's see what we've got here. So we've got 3x, 3 over 2 minus 2 equals 3. And the last step, we can divide out by the 3. So we're going to have x. Oh, this is a funny one because we're going to end up x minus a half. So 3 over 2 minus 2 is minus a half equals 1. In this case, we're going to have, if x to the power of minus a half equals 1, x must be 1. So ordinarily, I would raise both sides by, so what we've got is x to the minus a half. Let me just write that again. X to the minus a half. And in order to get x to the power of 1, I would multiply the power by positive 2. And if I do that on the left, I would need to do that, or negative 2, I would need to do that on the right as well. And I'd end up with x to the power 1 equals 1. So in this case, my value of x is indeed 1. That won't always be the case. So let's move on to the third example. The third example, again, solve for x. So this time I've got the cubed root of 27, x to the power 5, over 3 times the square root of x cubed equals 2. So I'm going to take a look at that example, and we'll note we had the cubed root 27 times x to the power 5 all over 3 times the square root of x cubed equals 2. Okay, so the first step I'm going to take is to eliminate the root signs. So I'm just going to look at the numerator of 27 x to the power of 5, and that's going to be raised to the power of 1 over 3, the cubed root. And on the denominator, I have the 3 is outside, so it's 3 times the square root, so this will be x to the power of 3 over 2 equals 2 on the right hand side. So if I raise 27 to the power of 1 over 3, I end up with 3. So the cubed root of 27 is 3. X to the power of 5 over 3 divided by 3. X to the power of 3 over 2 equals 2. And just moving on now, the 3's cancel, so I'm going to, on the left, I'll end up with x to the power of 5 over 3 minus 3 over 2 equals 2. So let's take a look at these powers. I'll use the calculator just to make sure we don't make a mistake. So we're looking at 5 over 3 minus 3 over 2 gives us 1 over 6. So we're left with x to the power of 1 over 6 equals 2, which finally means that x to the power of 1, which is x to the power of 1 over 6 raised to the power of 6 equals 2 to the power of 6. And 2 to the power of 6 is 64. So we end up with x equals 64, x to the power of 1, or x equals 64. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.